Hi people, TheEmployedMoth here. Today I'll be looking at a post I made on Instagram about a year ago, and I'll read it to you, then just kind of talk about the philosophy behind it. So the post goes, "Creativity takes us away. We need it to deal with this life. For a certain amount each day, we have to do it. It's our way of dealing with the pain. It has to be about you. If you don't do anything, you won't survive." That's the post. And it's basically talking about a release, an escape. For the most part in the Western world and other worlds as well, especially developing, we live a very regimented, restricted lifestyle where we go to work in order to live. And that's okay. I believe that work is necessary in all societies and all cultures, and to do your best for your community is good. I think that's a very, very honourable thing. However, in the West, we have gone too far in the extreme, where our consumerism has become so much that we continuously end up in debt and we continuously need to get promotions and need to be getting paid more, and we're always looking for that extra little bit of pay in our paychecks just to get by. And it's because our lifestyle has become so extreme that we cannot stop our spending. So this is a cycle that perpetuates itself throughout our life, and it can become very restrictive, very oppressive. We have to be someone who we are not in order to work these jobs, because we're constantly chasing more money. And when we chase more money and possessions that come with it, a little bit of ourselves dies with each new job that we do. We have to kill a part of our personality in order to fit the role that we play. Now, this is okay to a certain point. We have to behave in a certain way in the roles that we do. That's called being professional. But after a certain point, it gets a bit ridiculous, and it starts to detract from who we are as a person, our personality. What we often find is that we don't engage a whole lot outside of our work in creative practices. All of our energy is put into our work, and when we get home, all we can do with our free time, because of our lack of energy, is consume. So we buy things, we consume television, we consume movies. Entertainment is part of our consumption. We consume sports. We become armchair sportsmen. We watch sports instead of playing them. And we lose our creativity in this process because all of our energy is put out into society, into our work, rather than into ourselves. And I think a really good example of this is in the coronavirus lockdowns, when all of a sudden people are able to do hobbies. And when the lockdown ends, people go out into the parks and experience the world again, and they can really develop themselves and use that time wisely instead of having to work all the time and spend all their time at work. This is especially an issue when you have to take homework. So I'm a teacher and I take home a lot of work, and it eats up all my free time sometimes. Sometimes on a Saturday night I'm up marking. And that's extremely shit. But just what you got to do for now. So when it comes to creativity, we're not being that creative because all of our energy is going into an oppressive cycle that we perpetuate by our consumption. We don't admit to ourselves that enough is enough, I'm getting paid enough, and this lifestyle, although it is humble, it's enough for me. Very few people can admit that to themselves. And we get influenced by society. We get influenced to want more and to be more and consume more. And consumption becomes part of our identity. We're defined by the things that we have, by the clothes that we wear, by the gadgets, the cars. But these things can be stripped away. That's why when I'm talking about creativity, I say that it takes us away. It's a way for some people, the creative types, maybe the introverts. It's a way for them to deal with their existence of constantly having to work in a job that for most people is not fulfilling. Now, yes, you can find fulfilling jobs in this world, and teaching is fulfilling for me, and eventually psychology will be definitely fulfilling. But most people aren't as lucky as I am. They have to work the mundane jobs. And creativity for those creative types takes them away. It distracts them, or it provides them with an outlet to be able to come to terms with their lifestyle, with the life that they have created for themselves. And creativity as a whole has to be about you or us. Creativity is not and should not, for the most part, be about making money. I've got a degree in visual arts, specialising in sculpture, but for the most part I'm a painter. And I can honestly say that I've been there and I've done that when it comes to exhibitions, and very few people making a living off it. I definitely don't want to be a professional painter because I'm not going to make much money and I want to live comfortably. When you start having to define your creativity by making money, then you're working for someone else and it becomes work. Creativity should be play. It should be fun. When people are commissioning you to do what they want for them, your creativity is taken out of it and you become a technician. You're no longer an artist. You are a technician. You're no longer creating something that has never been seen or heard before. All you are doing is performing a skill in the style that someone else wants you to. And this is where creativity dies. Very rarely, and I can tell from experience, that commissioners who commission you to do work for them want you to just be as creative as you possibly can. They want you to be creative for themselves. They don't want you to explore new territory. They want you to replicate a skill, an idea, a visual, a sound that they have heard you do before. And that's where creativity dies. That's why it has to be about you. Creativity is about building, about creating, about juxtaposing, about bringing together multiple ideas, meshing them together, seeing what happens, putting your own experiences into it, putting your own tastes, your own ideas, your own biases into the music, the art, the drama. That is what creativity is, and that's what pushes culture. The people who have broadened the spectrum of culture are the creative types. They are not the pencil pushers in offices. They are not the 9-to-5ers. They are people who are the unrestrictive, uncompromising, unapologetic types. We're talking the people who break down barriers and introduce new ideas. We're talking about your Pablo Picassos. We're talking about your Jimi Hendrixes here, your Beethovens, your Sigmund Freuds. All these people, and all these people have absolutely redefined what you are to do in their craft. Most of them in the beginning may have even been ridiculed, or they may have been not acknowledged. There's a long journey behind a lot of the stories of the people who I just mentioned. There's a lot of years honing their craft. I'm pretty sure I saw a post about Lionel Messi the other day, and a lot of people were calling him an overnight sensation, when really there's 15 to 20 years worth of soccer playing behind him. Someone like Sigmund Freud, years of education. All these types of people have pushed culture with their creativity. They've done it for themselves, and they had to do it. Jean-Michel Basquiat, the neo-expressionist painter in the 80s, he had to paint. There was nothing else destined for him. Painting was it. I watched the film on his life, and he would try to work kind of trade jobs here and there, and he'd come home crying. He was just so aligned with painting. He was so sensitive to any type of creativity that was getting ruined by his work, that he just had to paint no matter what. And this is why it has to be about you. This is why your creativity, your creative practice has to be selfish. It cannot involve anyone else's ideas. It has to be about you expressing your ideas, about bringing together all of the things that you have experienced, the processes, becoming technical. Technique is a part of it, but it's not the whole part. You need to be technical to be able to do what you've got in your mind. But technique isn't everything at the same time. So that's the idea of that meme I made about 1 year ago. Hope you enjoy it. Do the old like and subscribe stuff. Thank you very much. All the best.